I always had a passion for nature. I then went into a corporate sort of career in technology and then into contracts, about as far as you can possibly get from a zoo.
I've got now a degree in animal science and a master's in animal biology and welfare. Randomly, I ran away with the circus.
So today we've had Melissa and Ben in from Holmes Chapel Zoo. We've been talking about running away with a Mexican circus and part on Australia Zoo. So watch the podcast, like and subscribe. Let's
What
go.
he said.
Thanks for joining us, Ben and Melissa. Welcome to Chipping Away. It's very nice to have you both here. Now, a lot of people don't know why you're here, so we're going to jump on straight into your background. Obviously, Holmes Chapel Zoo is where you are now. But before we go into that, let's talk about where you were before and how you got this journey began. Where did it begin for you guys?
From my perspective, it started when I met Melissa, actually, which was in 2011. Essentially, my background is I've always loved animals. I've always, even from a young child, I was a member of the Young Ornithologists Club to watch birds at the local reserves, otters, always had a passion for nature. I then went into a corporate sort of career in technology and then into contracts, about as far as you can possibly get from a zoo. But actually, when I met Melissa, and I'll let her tell her story, actually things started falling into place in terms of actually rekindling that love for nature that I had. And actually this great opportunity to create our business arose from there. And actually over time, I've learned that the corporate elements I've learned day to day can transfer into the business that we do and vice versa. But actually moving forwards, there's a huge amount now that we can do that I've got a huge amount of experience to drive forwards what will be a modern zoo and our image for it. So that is my potted history.
It's a zoo. So then, Melissa, tell us all. We've heard a snippet. We've heard a snippet. So I'm not turning my head. I've been told by Alyssa, our social media, not to move my head or talk too much or move. So we're just doing like this. But we've heard a little bit. We told Ben not to tell us anymore because I think there's an interesting story or five here for us as well.
And you can speak Spanish as well.
And you can speak Spanish.
I won't tell the story in Spanish.
Please, for our Spanish listeners, feel free.
From a very early age, I can just remember being obsessed with animals. Back in the days of VHS tapes, my dad purchased a VHS recorder, which was amazing because then I could tape David Attenborough shows and all sorts of various random wildlife TV shows and rewatch them. So I had a massive library of these tapes, just obsessed. Fortunate enough to get a part-time job at my local zoo, which is Colchester Zoo. So I'm originally from Essex.
Family from this. My family.
Mine too.
Mine all from Colchester. My dad was the head boy at Colchester Boys' School before it changed.
My
So
dad's
let's go back a
Loughton.
long way. So yeah, we're our
Loughton,
family are all
Bourne
very
Church.
much your end actually, which is funny because we're all in the northwest. But actually, yeah, we're all our links are all Colchester and Essex. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, we both escaped.
See, everyone escaped. Yeah.
It's the dog, by the way, in the background.
Yeah, everyone can hear that.
Hear this. The dog wants to go out.
Olive, the Cocker Spaniel, is behind us. Alyssa may have to let her out. We'll see what happens. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, Melissa. Carry on.
I spent a couple of years or so during my A-levels working part-time at Colchester. I was fortunate enough in those days we could just work with pretty much anything. So the only things I didn't work with were the elephants, whether I worked with chimps at that point, not technically working with them, but cleaning out their enclosures and that sort of thing. And then I did a sidestep and went into horses. I learned to ride properly. I ended up teaching and going down that route, but my heart was always going to be with exotic animals. So I went back into the zoo industry, back to Colchester Zoo, worked with small mammals, sea lions, penguins, all sorts of things like that.
What caused the most trouble when you first started? What was the animal? I feel like you're going to say penguin or sea. What was the most when you first? Because obviously for you were obviously learning. What was the most mischievous animal that you had to really learn to understand?
I want to say parrots, but it was probably the penguins, actually. They are just the right height for kneecaps, which was fun during a penguin parade talk.
You can quash a rumour here for me, because you can answer this question for
He
me.
says this all the time, by the way. Go on.
So you can tell me if this is true or not. So I was talking to someone and he said to me, his job at Chester Zoo was a penguin picker-upper. So I was like, a job? He said, yeah. He said, because they're so small that when the planes fly over, the penguins fall over You can't get back up again. Is that a job at the zoo?
I've never heard of that job. I think he might be pulling your leg, but
Ends here today.
The most ridiculous thing I've heard for the last 3 or 4 years of my life, every now and again.
It sounds like he was trying to tell a joke and the punchline was pick up a penguin, but then he sort of forgot the punchline.
Over many years, he forgot there was a punchline. It was just penguins watch planes flying into Manchester Airport. They fall over and then they have to be picked up. Right.
having never worked at Chester Zoo with their penguins, I can't confirm or deny that.
It could still be true. It could still happen. It could still happen. Amazing.
There could be that role there.
I'm not going to dispel that myth.
I'm going to apply. I'm just going to send an application in case it's a real thing. Just see what I get back. No, Ben's shaking his head. Okay. The corporate Ben's like, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's quashed.
That's gone. Okay. So penguins, you found penguins to be a little bit mischievous and
very smelly. They really do harm. Yeah, they're very stinky. Primates are probably the most mischievous because of their intelligence, I guess, and they have got fingers that can manipulate things like screws and bolts and nuts and things like that. Yeah, and they can cook up some plans. They're fun. They're fun. Every species has its own challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I know when we've gone to Bristol Zoo, but when it was still as Bristol Zoo, where my family lived at the time, and we'd take kids, and I just remember more than once going through sort of the primate enclosure, and they had the monkeys, and you just turn, and they always be putting on a show. I just remember the one time the show was a mating show. No one was expecting it. All the children just like, oh, like that, and all the parents. I can still remember all the parents going, they're just being friendly. There's nothing to see here. Move on. And at least one of them kind of turned, and I definitely had a grin on its face. Definitely, turned. It was almost like an audience. I listened, just kind of went like that at everyone, and like, you just want, you've got our 3-year-old who was just going, Daddy, no, keep going. There's other animals to see. Let's get to the bats. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, we at Holmes Chapel Zoo, we definitely have that one enclosure which you parents need to just keep walking at certain times, which is the meerkat and tortoise enclosure. It's not the meerkats.
It's the tortoise. Although when we were there the other week, I did enjoy watching the meerkats riding the tortoise. That was kind of like, this is on top of the shell. This is how we're getting from A to B. It was like a bus service, a meerkat bus service. There's like 2 or 3 going, just why use your energy? Sit on the tortoise.
And they have such a serious face when they're doing it as well, just sort of looking around. The tortoise is walking along and they're sat on his back.
Meerkats like, this is normal.
They're literally like businessmen at 9 a.m. They're literally on a bus to work. They're literally sat there, we're off to work, that's all we're doing. It was very funny, very funny. I know you were saying about David Attenborough, because obviously David Attenborough's done a lot with primates, hasn't he, over the last 60, 70 years. You look back and a lot of his earlier stuff as well was primates.
I see David as more of an all-rounder.
Yeah.
And actually quite fascinated with things like birds of paradise and also anything from Madagascar.
Yes.
Seems to be really fascinated with. And he should be. He's very inspiring.
Yeah.
We haven't met him in person. Ben and I have had the fortune to go and see him doing a talk.
Yeah, live Q&A.
Really?
Very captivating, I'd imagine.
And that soothing voice is a bit too soothing.
Yeah, every time we're sat there, Blue Planet or something comes on, and you literally just sit there. Even when I think my favourite one was where they follow like the sloths and the sloth's journey when it decided to go through the lagoon. You think, I've never seen a sloth swim. I didn't know that was a thing. And you're watching this lot, and it's just the way that David, he just narrates that, and you just kind of, you disappear. You feel like you're in the water with him. You forget where you are. He has such a powerful voice, but obviously because of his years of experience, but again also his, in terms of ecological preservation as well, the work that he's doing and still does now. He's such a prolific character person, and globally for just sustainability and ecology. So
yeah, he really is. He is true. He'll be so missed. He really will. It'll be a massive gaping hole.
He's done a lot there.
He has done a lot.
Yes,
and it'll always be there to watch and online. So,
thankfully, he hasn't gone yet.
Yeah.
So it's just getting very maudlin, isn't it? David, it's becoming a tribute to David Attenborough. He's still alive. Don't worry. Don't start messaging. When did he die? He hasn't died. He's still here. And I'm sure, many years maybe
He's still bubble wrapped.
still bubble wrapped. Nothing's happening to David. We're okay. Anyway, we're here to talk about you guys, not about David Attenborough. So obviously...
Colchester Zoo, weren't there? Where did you go?
Oh, yes, yeah. Then I went off and randomly, I ran away with the circus.
The
Did you really?
I really did, yes. A Mexican travelling circus.
Mexican travelling circus. And what was your role in the circus? If you don't mind me, this could go any way now. I don't know. Right, go.
It is not that I have any circus skills at all. I went to Great Yarmouth and watched a circus there. Met the juggler.
Okay, as you do.
That blossomed into a romance, and then, as you do, you just follow your heart. It's weird sitting next to my husband talking about an ex, but anyway.
A bit awkward.
Ben, if you want to go somewhere else for a minute, come back. It's fine. Go have a little cry. We all have a past.
He won in the end.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always. That's why I always say that to my wife, and she looks at me and says, "Did I?
Really?
Yeah, did I? Yeah.
Booby prize.
Yeah, but yeah, anyways, I ran off to Acapulco.
Wow.
Lived 3.5-4 years travelling around with a Mexican circus. Not always in Mexico. Yeah, so I had to learn Spanish, and I did that with a big fight because being naturally with the British way of we expect everyone to know English, and not a lot of people do. It turns out I did learn Spanish, but conversational Spanish, which I have really lost most of now because I don't need to speak Spanish anymore. But yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine. Latin America as well must have been amazing. I mean, I know we really love Race Across the World, so that program on the BBC that I could understand in terms of going and learning language. But you see the English, because the English guy, they went through Colombia, and they thought they would be able to get everywhere, but so many people going, well, you don't speak English. No, we're a much bigger country, and so I can understand that thing of needing to understand languages. But so when you were doing the sort of the circus work, was that with the animals? Were you there working with the animals as part, or was that not even?
No, it did have animals, quite a number of animals that we would be disturbed to know that they had, but it's a different life.
Yeah.
Different times and different life. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Central America. We would spend several months in a country, so I got to see sort of real poverty in those countries and the joy that the circus actually brought to these people. I was working as sort of in the gate entrance bit, so I'd show people to their seats and make sure they were sitting in the right seats and that sort of thing. So that's why I had to learn Spanish. I wanted to be part of the actual show, so my then partner allowed me to be his assistant. So I was juggler's assistant, standing at the back, throwing him his clubs and his whatever, balls and things like that. He quickly chucked me out of that because everyone was looking at me, not him. So...
Well, and that's when you knew that was over, and there was someone better out there, and you knew there was somebody better out there for you. Just saying.
So I did actually start learning a couple of acts, a hula hoop act, and then an aerial act. It never got into the ring.
Will we ever see those at Holmes Chapel Zoo? We're not going to get. I thought that was going to be we're going to have open family fun days, but we'll have carnival days where you'll be bringing back the circus acts.
I'm working on it. It's a slow burn.
Ben's on it. This is going to happen. We will bring jugglers and fire eaters to the zoo and stuff like that. Just a bit of... never say never.
Never say never.
But no, it was fun times. That all ended, basically, and I went back into the world of animals, but in a different route. So I did end up in a different zoo. So I went to Linton Zoo, which is in Cambridge. Then I decided actually I wanted to do a bit more for myself. And so I ended up doing up to a master's degree. So I studied for 4 years, got now a degree in animal science and a master's in animal biology and welfare. I found a job in Reese Heath College. I worked for a number of years as head keeper. I left that because I really wanted to pursue my own sort of business. I had ambitions to become a zoo nutritionist, actually, but there were not really that many in the country. To climb the ladder, so to speak, I thought maybe it would be easier to go my own way. I then met Ben and we created Zoo2U together.
And I really wanted just to let Melissa sort of tell her story because it's far more interesting. But actually, when someone says, I've had an idea, let's start a zoo, most people run to the hills or think you're absolutely mental. I don't also have a linear path, albeit.
Yeah, absolutely.
For instance, I've going around the world. For instance, I've been in safaris in Nepal, in Africa. I've even done cage diving with great white sharks. So I've always had that quirky element to me anyway.
That hunger to be at one with nature. Yeah. Get as close as you can to, absolutely.
Yeah, and these sideline sort of little projects I had on the side meant that actually, as soon as Melissa came up and said, I've had this quirky idea, rather than running, I was like, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Let's do it. There wasn't a question mark. There wasn't a question mark or a kind of, is this going to work, isn't it? Which could have postponed or pushed back, or, you don't know what could have happened had you not have both gone, right, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. So, it's a leap of faith from both of you to go, we can do this, let's do it. Absolutely. So, and that's when Zoo2U was born, I take it then in 2012, was it?
Yes, 2012 or 13
that's right.
12. Yeah, it's been going quite a while now.
I was going to say, so Zoo2U, if people don't know, so Zoo2U is effectively, you would take the animals, and whether that's to a school or to birthday parties, those sort of events, you would take the animals to allow people to experience slightly more exotic animals, or maybe they'd not seen before, or only seen on TV or whatever. Give it a chance to actually meet those animals and and get to pet them. Or I've had to pet. We've talked about petting. We've had this conversation. Pet is not the word to use because it's not about petting. And I think this is the thing that is one of the missions that you both have. It's part of your mission statement. Almost, is you're trying to remove the term petting from it's not about petting. It's not just a nice, oh, that's nice. It's understanding there's the educational side of it. And I guess that's where Zoo2U was born, was to bring that education, was it? It's
the education and the interaction. So I think rather than the word pet, we would use the word interact.
Yeah.
So interacting with an animal doesn't necessarily mean you get to hold it physically, or you might not even be able to touch it. But interactions can come through lots of different ways and means. It's taking the barrier away from between the person and the animal. So even just being able to smell, actually, I thought skunks really stink, but actually they don't smell that bad. Snake skin, just being able to stroke or touch the skin of a snake and taking away the myth that it's slimy and wet. Yeah. All sorts of different things, understanding that actually tortoises haven't got bone on the outside, it's something different. The shell is made of keratin, whereas a lot of people think it's like a rock, or kids think that they are made of rock. We get that quite a lot. Be able to just educate in a way that kids find interesting or fascinating.
And I guess the idea from that is, of course, we inspire people to the zoo, but originally it was really just to educate people about animals, actually inspire them moving forwards. At parties, I mean, you could have, say, 30 children having a whale of a time, say, right, bring in the animals, everyone suddenly goes quiet, and then we do the animal sessions, and it's not uncommon to hear a pin drop. There's something magical about that when an animal is so captivating that the whole room is just fixed on it, and at that point you're really deeply connecting with people, and people are with the animal. That's what it's about.
Our friend Kate, she does a lot of work in Macclesfield, like with recycling. She's very much about reusing. She runs various sort of events. They have not a thrift shop, but a place where you can go, and they do food drives, food banks. But they had a function last summer, I think it was, and again it was like they had bouncy castles. It was a pub near theirs in Mac, and it was crazy. We were there. I was helping on the stall with them and stuff, and then all of a sudden they did. They had again the interactive zoo. The animals, they came in, all the children were sat down, and suddenly that was everyone's focus. Or everything went from being outside, everyone just went in because they wanted to see it and be a part of that, and actually it's a great learning tool as well. I think that's the main thing. For a lot of children who struggle in a classroom sometimes, because it becomes more of a practical lesson. Even as you say, you're not touching the animal, you're not necessarily, getting to hold it, but you're there in front of it. You're, seeing it face to face. You're maybe begin passing the skin round for the snakes. Things like that, which makes them feel more involved, and that way they become more kind of tuned into what you're trying to do. And I think that's really important, because I think it's what, which is, some people don't know, our connection is our children at the same primary school. Last summer, the school wanted to remake their woodland area, and not as a forest school, but just as an outdoor education area where further learning can be done, but also to just allow for a quiet space where children go and learn, but also see nature and become more understanding of the outside. But from that, a lot of children will get that interaction, which they don't get in the classroom, except from looking at a board. And they will probably take more in from doing that and being able to go out there and go into that woodland and, understand more about the plants, the fauna, the wildlife. And actually, as you say, they will naturally want to then preserve that themselves, and they'll go home and they'll look at it in a different light and they'll see it in a different way. So yeah, absolutely, it makes sense.
It's a wow moment, isn't it? I like to think of it. And it's like when I came to your place, it was the wow moment of seeing the meerkats. Now, I've seen meerkats before. I've seen them in lots of places, but it was that moment you're like, I'm in Holmes Chapel and there's meerkats here. Why do not more people know about this? It was incredible. But yes, sorry, just wanted to mention that.
No, the meerkats are very important. It's really important for people to understand what is on our doorstep. And I think that's the big
really
thing.
important.
We're really well positioned, actually. It's dead easy to get to. We've got, even by train, you've got Goosty Station, which is less than a mile away, but it's dead easy to drive.
Knutsford, easy. Northwick.
Well, you've got the M6, haven't you? So
Winsford, all of the surrounding area. Congleton obviously is nearby, Macclesfield. It's a great actual central location for everybody to get to. How many different species? You were counting it the other day?
I think we might have something like 35-ish different species. I can't remember what's on display because some of them are hidden away at the moment.
I'm trying to think. There's wallabies. Wallabies.
We've got meerkats, we've got
Meerkats,
tortoises. Lots of different.
my favourite, the kookaburras.
Kookaburras.
They're my favourite.
Guinea pigs, parrots, 3 different species of parrot, 4 different species of owl, and then there'll be 3 reptiles out on display, 2 species of mammals, small mammals on display, the skunks, sheep, alpaca, peafowl, wallabies. So that's 22.
Yeah. So, and that's just now.
And I was going to say, and this is what people don't understand. So the start of the journey. So for you guys, obviously, a lot of people don't know how Holmes Chapel Zoo. Obviously, Zoo to you was already that was your business. That was what you would say. I call it a business, not just a business, but Zoo to you then became sort of Holmes Chapel Zoo. The sort of inception of that, was that right? So it was during COVID, wasn't it, that you kind of saw there was an opportunity became open because of circumstance, wasn't it? So I don't know if you want to let people know how you've come to Holmes Chapel Zoo, because obviously that's part of the journey, really.
No, it is, absolutely. Well, for a start, the collection was growing to the point where it could no longer be at our house. There's only so long when we could have
70 people in the living room.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Go around for dinner.
And there's one in the wardrobe again. And then
Come around for dinner. Don't sit on the Come for dinner. Don't sit on the wall. Yeah. That's not a cushion. It's a tortoise. Don't sit on the tortoise.
So yeah, there came a point, and also by that point we'd already actually brought some staff in as well. So the business was growing. It was only so long that actually sort of you've got staff coming around your house working while you're trying to relax in the house. And then, for many reasons, all of the above, we decided to find a small premises that we could go. So around 2017, we moved to Alsager, a hall farm there. It was brilliant. Quite a small room, 8 meters by 8, but it was enough for us to A, get the animals out of the house. B, actually, we said, well, let's try bringing people on site for the first time, just see how it works. That also meant that we had to go through a zoo license. With great experience gaining a zoo license, great experience being able to run our first ever Meet the Meerkats from there and try different encounters and a few sort of open days. And actually at that point we were saying, yeah, we can do this. And actually all we're limited by is space. And then during lockdown, Hull Farm themselves, who also had an on-site cafe and farm shop, did really well because everyone started shopping locally. They had a really good sort of keep your distance policy, just worked for them. So they sort of exploded, and we were coming to the end of the lease, and they said, actually would like to move our cafe into where you are so we can expand. And that just married up perfectly with us saying, we think we're ready for more space. So I mean, timing was good from that perspective. Bad in the sense of it was COVID. Nobody could go outside. So the idea of creating an outdoor attraction for people to visit was pretty mental when you think about it in COVID. But in keeping with our histories, we both thought, well, okay, let's just go for it.
Everyone's inside and you're creating a zoo. Let's do it.
That's what life's about, isn't it? You've got to go for these things.
Don't forget, we could only go out. You could only be outside to interact with people. You weren't allowed to be in the same room as each other. So actually, there's almost a natural. Well, if you could only be outside, then why don't we try and bring everything outdoors that's indoors to actually give us a better opportunity to the place? Kind of. Yeah. It was a natural kind of progression, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so that meant that we had to go through, well, first of all, we had to find a place. I mean, 91 searches, was it? We've got an Excel spreadsheet at home, so I know the number, and it got down to a short list of 3. Either it wasn't suitable for us, or there were, I don't know, one of the places was brilliant, but there was a timber yard next door, and you could hear the bandsaw suddenly making this tremendous noise. You start thinking, that's going to scare the animals.
Good for us.
We know the noise.
We know the noise about it, so to be fair. Someone like that's perfect for us. If you
location was this again,
could you send me the list? Just send me the list, Ben, afterwards, because we'll probably, that list might help us a lot. To be fair, we'll take that one.
I'd just like to got nothing personal against bandsaws, by the way, for those of you that use them day to day.
Well, yeah, we have a very personal connection. We like bandsaws very much.
So do we. They're deep in our heart. But it did mean that for us, it didn't quite work for our animals, did it? Yeah. And actually, sometimes you could just see it in the whites of people's eyes. We say, "You've got a great setup there. Do you think you could see a zoo being there?" And you'll see this, their face drain of colour.
Their mouth saying yes, but the rest of them going, no. Yeah. So the brain's screaming, don't do it. The heart going, oh, that'd be lovely. The rest of them going, this isn't going to work. But, no, I get that as well. But to be fair, where you've ended up, though, it's a fantastic location. It's a really easy to get to. It's, good space. And, so obviously now you're working towards building that into something bigger with longevity, and again, that's what are the next steps for you guys? What obviously we know the meerkats and also we've seen that, but there's a lot of areas now that you're working on to just bring those to a point that you're happy with for this summer, really, isn't there, as well? There's quite a lot of work that you guys are doing. So
yeah, there's not many enclosures actually that are built to be permanent. The meerkats are a permanent fixture. The parrot aviary probably is a permanent fixture. We just need to make it a bit more pretty. The wallabies are a permanent enclosure. Other than that, everything else pretty much just temporary accommodation for everybody.
Yeah, and as a result, it's so our final vision is actually really quite polished. So for us as owners, and knowing that you're open to the public, so constant scrutiny from that point of view. For us, it's hard to know that you're on the journey, but at the same time, the feedback we get and the way that we work the zoo is we're a bit different from other zoos, especially the big zoos, where you can run around at 100 miles an hour and say, I've seen 100 animals, and that's brilliant for some. But for us, we're the inverse of that. We are actually take your time with each animal. We've got an amazing friendly team of animal keepers who will come and meet you. They'll give you animal talks during the day. And it'll be a real personal experience. You'll learn about the animals' names. You'll learn about what their peculiar habits of that particular animal. You'll learn why John the parrot is Joan the parrot. You'll learn. You'll learn.
We learn.
You'll learn why there's a sign that says, "Please do not swear in front of the parrots." That's what we were taught whilst we were there. Not that we did it, but it's very clear that swearing in front of parrots is a no-go, and you don't even think of that until you're there, and because you've got that. We don't think, oh yeah, what if you take a parrot? What have you taken the parrot into school to show school, and then the parrot starts giving out, sounds like Eminem. That's not good, is it? So yeah, it's great.
I think that's really good. The educational side of it as well. That you've got someone who will take the time out to teach the kids or the adults about the animals that they don't know, like the traits of a meerkat. Now we walk into Chester Zoo and you just get to look at a meerkat. We don't know where they've come from, why they're here, what they eat, what the dietary requirements are, but you guys tell everybody that it comes down.
Yeah, and I think that's the nice part of our team. Every keeper, every team member, not even the keepers, every team member knows the individual animals and their history. So they've all got a history, they've all got a little story. For each animal, the keeper will be able to tell you that. And we don't give the keepers any sort of script. we want them to give their own personalities into the stories that they're telling. And the keepers really appreciate that as well. Because otherwise, if you're saying the same thing day in, day out, it gets really bland. It shows. So we like to be able to give the keepers their own spin on different things. And the keepers love to interact with people as well, with the visitors. And I think that's for them, that's part of the joy of the job. Working with the animals obviously is what they want to do. That's why they're with us. But being able to interact with visitors and having the time afforded to them to be able to interact.
We now do party at the zoo, don't we? Even for people coming and visiting, we have set times of the day when people can come and have animal encounter sessions as well. So we do bring some of the animals out so they can really meet them as well firsthand. We've got our wallaby walkthrough, which again is at set times of the day. But yeah, on site, this year's the year we want to really expand and really do more in terms of actually bringing schools on site and all that sort of stuff. And it also goes up to businesses as well, sort of corporate social responsibility days and things like that.
Well, it's our team. When you have your team building, we used to go and help. So years ago, when I was in the corporate world, like Ben, and I worked for a building society, one of the things that we did, we went to the Children's Adventure Farm Trust over near Knutsford, and we'd go and help either plant a tree, because again, there's always things that needed doing. And it was great to do that, but there is also now, this is a chance for adults to understand more about sustainability and maybe not be so naive. Why are you doing it? Understanding it, again, it's not just the animals. Obviously, you're going to have the wildflower area. You're going to have areas which is to understand it's not just about the animals, but it's nature as a whole. It's the whole spectrum of this, this plant, this tree, these are all endangered species, and this is what we need to do to protect those species. So I think, having that opportunity where businesses can be involved and, and ultimately it will help the zoo. Businesses, the zoo needs businesses, not just individual businesses, to be able to support that and to help keep the zoo thriving and moving forward. So I think it's really important to highlight that for people looking for that opportunity, that different style of interaction as a team event almost.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, our goals certainly for the next year as well, in terms of sort of establishing the site a lot more, is to create some enclosures, some new habitats. So we've got, for instance, our skunks who are currently in an aviary, which is fit for purpose. However, actually creating a lovely new habitat is something that we'll be looking for support as well. As well as a couple of secret squirrel projects that are out there, which we're going to keep them secret because we want to do a big reveal for them. But I think there's another side of it, which is actually sponsorship, corporate sponsorship, or anyone that wanted to donate or just support us in some way. There's another opportunity there with some of these new exciting enclosures.
Now, one thing I was going to ask, just when we first met, Ben, you mentioned something about a particular Australian, and that perhaps Melissa had an interaction with a person who some people might go, really?
Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, it was Crocodile Dundee. Spoiler alert. Because you may not want to talk about it, Melissa. I'm asking the question because there was a mention that you may have a story as well from a particular person that you've had the fortune of meeting and working with. So I don't know if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I've missed that out of my history.
It's only a small piece. We learned about Ben's, the former flame who Ben replaced because he was the better person. We got that in.
This guy's better. Even I'll admit that.
This is the other option, but yeah.
So I spent 5 months over in Australia. During that time, I was able to volunteer at Steve Irwin's place, then called the BOR Fauna and Flora Park, now known as Australia Zoo.
Wow.
They were not as big as they are now, and Steve was still alive. So I was lucky enough to meet him. I watched him and Terry doing some filming at the zoo. I went out for lunch with Terry.
They always seemed very naturally, just very openly who you saw on TV and who were the family. That the Irwins were that's what we've always hoped.
Terry is watching this. Hello, Terry.
Yeah, Terry.
We're with Melissa.
Melissa says hi, obviously. But they seem really genuine, but their passion, it's just their passion. Again, we've talked about David Attenborough, but actually there are so many other people out there. That passion, Steve, the passion that he had, to push and drive for conservation and understanding nature, understanding everything. Yeah, I feel like it must have been a real opportunity.
Yeah, it really was. They were so lovely. The random fact was that I had no idea who Steve Irwin was when I went over.
I suppose it was before
Just
he
walk
became.
past him.
I suppose, but it was probably, was it still at a time before Steve Irwin was Steve Irwin?
So he did have some fame, but I just wasn't in that reptile world at that point, and hadn't really sort of tripped over him at that point. I did know who he was. I recognised when I did see him. I wasn't like starstruck or anything like that when I was working there. I probably shouldn't admit that, but there you go. But I did meet Harriet, the world's oldest tortoise, who lived there at that point. She was amazing, so I worked quite a lot with her. I met the original Bindi, who was a staff dog, terrier. I just remember, so I met Bindi when she was with Steve, and he was just chucking her up into a ute at that point. And he was just walking around like he was a normal person, you know.
It's just who he was.
And I was out collecting some eucalyptus at one point, and he walked past and was saying that's probably the best bit to get and all that sort of thing.
Wow.
So it's a bit. So there you go. So if anyone sat here going, I have a dream to follow my passion and follow my dream, Melissa, you are the person. You've travelled the world. You followed your passions. It wasn't just the one. You know, you went right. I've ended up in South America. I've gone to Australia. The girl from Colchester has ended up with her own zoo.
Yeah, from Australia Zoo to Holmes Chapel Zoo.
There you go. It's quite the journey, isn't it? It's, with several zoos in between, and and it's
great story.
And it's the fact you guys are doing it together. I think that's the thing for a lot of people, husband and wife, going, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make this a reality. So yeah, we look forward to seeing where Holmes Chapel Zoo goes. Can't wait to see how the zoo evolves. And I think, we'll definitely we'll be here to be part of that journey, hopefully, and you'll let us come back and, in a few months' time, and we'll come back and, see how you're getting on. And, we can't wait to be a part of your journey, because it's, such a great thing that you're doing. So we really appreciate you. Really appreciate you
coming onto the podcast.
Yeah, brilliant. Really appreciate it.
It's been brilliant. So, thank you.
I'm now going to go and find a juggler from South America. That's my plan. Travel the world.